Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to General Hospital spoilers for Monday, June 2nd, Rocco Falconeri is seeking answers, and Ace Cassidy's missing $10 million will lead to a problem. This is what GH fans may anticipate since Sonny Corinthos will also guarantee Giovanni Gio Palmieri. Gio will first visit Sonny and demand the truth. Gio will decide he believes Sonny when he claims he didn't know Gio was his grandson until the nurse's ball. Whatever Gio does next, he will say that he will handle it alone. Although Sonny will acknowledge that Gio is in pain and must deal with things on his own, he will also let Gio know that he is always welcome to confide in him. Now that Gloria has returned to take accountability, Brooke Lynn Quartermain will have the opportunity to interrogate both Lois and Gloria Cerullo simultaneously. Gloria and Lois may maintain their conviction that it was the wisest course of action at the time, but Brooke Lynn may eventually inquire as to whether they regret delivering her baby to Camilla Palmieri. Dante Falconeri will update Rocco on his freshly found half-brother in the meantime. Rocco will be devastated to learn that Dante and Brooke Lynn had a son, whom he only recently learned about. Lulu Spencer will have to acknowledge that it was her fault that the secret was revealed in such a horrific manner once Rocco questions how Gio found out. Lucky Spencer recently acknowledged at Elizabeth Baldwin's house that he knows more about her accident than he has disclosed to her. Will Lucky ultimately make a complete confession or back down when Liz asks him what he means? In any case, Lucky has aroused Elizabeth's suspicions and must now offer an explanation. Laura Collins recently arrived in Alexis Davis's office, expressing alarm over some missing funds. Laura will put Alexis on the position when she points out that $10 million has been taken out of Ace's inheritance in Monday's GH episode. Will Alexis be able to explain the missing money without revealing to Laura the blackmail scheme being carried out by Ava Jerome and Rick Lansing? According to General Hospital teasers, Alexis will stop at nothing to avoid embezzlement issues and spare Christina Corinthos Davis from going to jail. General Hospital's crime boss, Maurice Bernard, lately increased his involvement with mental health. He launched a live conversation. His live performances appear to be well-liked, but ABC fans are particularly fond of his State of Mind podcast. A session of therapy? Maurice shared it on Facebook and went live a week ago. Sitting there with the largest cup of coffee ever was the genuine Sonny Corinthos. Aside from the fact that it sounded like a smoke alarm that kept going off, the first live appeared to be a huge success. Maurice wrote, "Wow, this turned into a therapy session but in a good way," in his text overlay. He followed through on his promise, and it appears that he has discovered a moniker for his live performance. Let's do it again Thursday between 8:30 and 9 a.m. LA time. In New Live, Maurice Bernard discusses his fear of flying. Having coffee with Sonny. This week, his enormous coffee cup made an appearance on Instagram once more. For his weekly live, Bernard asked GH followers if they liked the moniker Coffee with Sonny. No one protested. He joked, "If you hear noises like whistling or yelling, it is my parrot," in reference to the smoke alarm complaints. Maurice told his admirers that he must bear the noises while his wife sleeps in the early morning hours, but instead of griping, supporters inquired about his parrot. He actually has a number of them, including an African gray. Maurice Bernard will be making a number of appearances all over the place, according to other news that emerged. If you're interested in finding out where, you can make reservations through Coastal Entertainment. Resolving the fear of air travel. Similar to State of Mind, mental health is not the only aspect of life. His history of anxiety and bipolar disorder, however, piques followers' interest. Thus they made inquiries. He was asked by a fan how he conquered his fear of flying. The ABC star didn't think it would work, but Maurice told them that a friend of his is a hypnotist. In the past he had always had anxiety when flying, but once they drove to his car, his friend hypnotized him. He felt pretty good after that and has since flown roughly 20 times without any anxiety. Cure without pills. Maurice Bernard was so happy that he instructed his supporters to research the man, stating that they should seek for Mr. In response to another query. Maurice stated that he had 1 or 2 sessions initially and then only a couple more. He also noted, "It cured me with no pills," pointing out that in the past, nothing ever helped. As Maurice responded to inquiries, the discussion went on. This is a good chance to see him discussing his experiences in a serious way while still being a touch humorous and lighthearted. It's never too late to start afresh, and after a difficult couple of years, it seems General Hospital alumna Hayley Poulos has set out to do exactly that. You can watch Maurice on his new Coffee with Sonny live on Instagram on Thursday mornings from 8:30 to 9 a.m. On her official Instagram page, Headshots with Dash, an award-winning photographer recently shared some new headshots of the former ABC soap star. She tagged Poulos in the photos and wrote, "I love actors." The 5-photo set started with Poulos wearing a green shirt and pink lipstick, followed by a picture of her grinning for the camera, while wearing a cute blue and white plaid shirt. With the final image showing the actress in a black leather jacket, 3 more filled the post. The updated headshots raise the possibility that Poulos, if she hasn't already, intends to set up some additions soon. For those who didn't know, the reason for this new start is a DUI charge from 2023 that was brought on by a wrong-way collision on a freeway in Los Angeles. Poulos received a 90-day jail sentence, 5 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service before being sentenced to time served in July 2024. Nancy Lee Grahn, who portrayed her on-screen mother Alexis, was one of her strongest supporters during this trying time. She gave fans an update in May 2024 after speaking with Poulos. Nancy Lee Graham and Molly Alexis Hayley Poulos. "When the media is for sale, it is difficult to tell what is true," Grahn said. "The truth is that Hayley got into a car after drinking too much. She is helping her victim obtain as much compensation as possible, while also covering the cost of that. Thank God, everyone has survived and will continue to do so. We send Poulos our best wishes as she embarks on a new chapter in her life." When word got out that $10 million had disappeared from Ace's accounts, anxiety in Port Charles reached a breaking point. Everyone wondered who could have carried out such a bold theft after the stolen money sent shockwaves through the city's underground. Ace's longtime confidant and business partner, Rocco, was at the center of the controversy and was demanding explanations. Even Rocco's patience had its limits. He had always been the more composed of the two, controlling Ace's more irrational tendencies. Rocco wasn't going to overlook the missing money since it was more than just a financial setback. It was a betrayal. Meanwhile, Gio, a young upstart trying to establish himself, had received a promise from Sonny Corinthos, the most formidable and feared criminal in the city. Gio wanted safety and a place at the table, and he had come to Sonny with knowledge that might help recover the millions that had gone missing. Constantly calculating, Sonny recognized the young man's potential. Joe's information might strengthen Sonny's hold on the city even more if it turns out to be accurate. However, Sonny had a reputation for being cruel when betrayed, and promises were brittle in their world. Speculation was rife on the streets. According to some rumors, Ace orchestrated the disappearance with the intention of escaping with the money and starting again in a place far from Port Charles. Others believed that a competing group had planned the theft with the intention of undermining Ace's empire before pursuing the target. Others thought it was an inside job, that someone close to Ace had been waiting for the ideal opportunity to attack. Rocco refused to believe any theories that lacked evidence. His reputation had been built over years, and he had no intention of letting it fall apart over something like this. He started his own investigation, enlisting the help of informants, requesting favors, and following every money trail he could locate. The web grew more knotted the further he ventured. It was almost impossible to follow the money because of offshore accounts, sham corporations, and encrypted transfers. However, Rocco wasn't the kind to give up easily. Meanwhile, Gio was becoming agitated. He needed more guarantees, more power, but he had given Sonny enough to get his foot in the door. He was aware that loyalty was a commodity in their society, and that if he were to live, he would need to establish his value. In an attempt to learn more about the missing funds, he began contacting his own acquaintances. His life would be in jeopardy if Ace or Rocco discovered that he was digging. Gio had always been a gambler though, and the possible payout was too big to pass up. Ever the strategist, Sonny saw the pieces in motion from a distance. His own men were investigating the matter, but he would rather let others handle the grunt labor while he pulled the strings. Sonny would profit if Joe's information resulted in the money. He could break off contact without facing any repercussions if it didn't. His kingdom had been based on accuracy and patience, and this was no exception. The pressure increased as the days stretched into weeks. Ace, who was usually so assured and in charge, was beginning to lose it. His credibility was at stake, and the missing millions were just one aspect of the issue. His allies would begin to doubt his strength if it became known that he was unable to safeguard his own wealth. Rocco started preparing backup plans after noticing Ace's instability. Although he had always cleaned up Ace's trash, he wasn't sure if he should or could do it this time. Then there was an innovation. A sizable money was transferred through a fictitious company connected to a well-known associate of a rival family, in a transaction that Rocco's contacts discovered didn't line up. It was a lead but not proof. Rocco contemplated what to do. Did he need to tell Ace what he knew? Should he approach the competing family directly and ask for clarification? Or should he tell Sonny about it in the hopes of negotiating a settlement that would safeguard his own interests? Meanwhile, Gio had discovered something much more significant. Investigating Ace's accounts, he found that the $10 million that went missing could be linked to a far bigger plot that encompassed not only Ace but also a number of powerful people in the city's criminal underground. It might mean war if it's true. Gio was aware that he needed to be cautious. He had to choose whether to tell Sonny about this right away or to wait until he had more solid proof. Always one step ahead. Sonny had already heard rumors that Gio had been found. He called a private meeting with the young man. As Sonny outlined his demands, there was a lot of tension in the air. Gio might have played it close to the vest and become a burden, or he could have revealed what he knew and gained Sonny's complete protection. Gio paused, considering his options. In their universe, trust was a scarce resource that could not be reclaimed once it was granted. Rocco returned to Ace's headquarters and made his choice. He would go straight to Ace. No more secrets or games. He should have known if Ace had cheated on him. Otherwise, they had to cooperate in order to discover the truth before it ruined them both. The meeting was tense, with tempers rising and accusations flying. Their partnership was under jeopardy for the first time in years. The pieces were moving while the city held its breath. More than simply money, the missing $10 million was the spark that could start a conflict, the thread that could break alliances, and the test that would decide who could be trusted and who would be abandoned. Ultimately, one thing was certain. Nothing in Port Charles remained secret indefinitely, and everything would be altered by the aftermath when the truth was eventually revealed. Lois picked up her keys and made her way to the door because she could no longer bear the oppressive quiet of her house. To make sure Cody was all right, she had to locate him. As she drove, she saw that the streets were silent at this hour, with the occasional streetlight creating long, unsettling shadows. The worst-case scenarios raced through her head, each one more horrifying than the previous. But what if it was too late already? The notion caused her to accelerate more forcefully, causing the car to lurch ahead as she raced toward the direction of Cody's last known location. Jason, on the other hand, appeared to be taking pleasure in the mayhem he had caused. Seeing Cody struggle and knowing that Nina was somewhere out there, afraid of what he might do next, brought a chilly sense of satisfaction. He was a patient man who had always been prepared to wait for the right opportunity to present itself, and that time had now come. Everything was coming together just the way he had intended. Desperate to buy himself a moment, Cody eventually said something. "Listen, Jason, we can resolve this." He spoke in a strained tone, his phony confidence failing to conceal his dread. "There's no need for things to get ugly." A sardonic smile curved Jason's lips. He shook his head slowly and murmured, "Oh, Cody, it is already unsightly. You simply aren't aware of it yet." Nina jumped when she heard her phone buzz. She was afraid of what she may see, so she hesitated before lifting it up. Jason's response was succinct, but it made her feel even more terrified. It simply stated, "You should have stayed out of this," but the connotation was obvious. She was really in danger. As she tried to think of what to do next, her mind was racing. Is she supposed to run? Make a help call? Who could she trust, though? She had no way of knowing who might be working for Jason, who had eyes everywhere. Lois's vehicle squealed to a stop outside Cody's apartment complex. As she hurried toward the entrance, she neglected to properly park, leaving the car carelessly at the curb. Her heart thumping in her ears, she ascended the steps two at a time because the elevator was too sluggish. When she finally arrived at Cody's door, she rushed in with terrified eyes rather than knocking. There was nobody in the flat. Cody is nowhere to be seen. No indication of a fight. There was only a chilling silence that chilled Lois's blood. For steamy interactions seem certain, according to General Hospital spoilers, so let's speak about some combinations that are sure to be exciting. Here are some couples who could add some smoldering moments to the ABC soap opera. 1. Emma and Gio. Giovanni Gio Palmieri is growing closer to Emma Scorpio Drake now that his entire world has been destroyed. The relationship between Emma and Gio is on the verge of becoming romantic, which will ultimately result in some sizzling. Fans will be watching for these two to continue to improve as Gio and Emma should hit the sheets in the future. 2. Vaughn and Jocelyn. Vaughn and Jocelyn Jax appear to be another couple heading for the bedroom. Vaughn might be the man Jocelyn goes on with now that she has had some time to recover from Dex Heller's passing. Vaughn and Jocelyn may be able to connect more deeply than they anticipated thanks to their WSB tale. Jocelyn and Vaughn might at least have a passionate experience and see where that goes, but that doesn't necessarily indicate they will be a true love match. 3. Brooklyn and Dante. Despite being married to Harrison Chase, Brooklyn Quartermain is ready to become closer to Dante Falconeri as they work to mend Joe's relationship. They won't be getting back together anytime soon because Dante recently broke up with Lulu Spencer in a romantic manner. Jitch authors might therefore entice Dante to return to Brooklyn and present some temptation. Is it possible for Brooklyn and Dante to kiss or possibly spend a passionate evening together? Whatever the situation, if Dante and Brooklyn experience a resurgence of their past emotions, a passionate encounter may be unavoidable. 4. Molly and Cody. Molly Lansing Davis and Cody Bell also appear set for some sexy scenes eventually. The show has undoubtedly been laying the groundwork for Cody's future with Molly, even though it's likely that he will take a passionate detour with Lulu, depending on how things work out. Eventually, Cody and Molly ought to make some significant progress together, likely some explosive ones. If you've been hoping for a genuine love story between Molly and Cody, this is wonderful news. When Lois and Brooklyn speak, things immediately go wrong. Brooklyn argues that her need for forgiveness does not supersede his need to understand what has happened, despite Lois's belief that they should locate Gio. BLQ continues by saying that Lois should look elsewhere if she wants forgiveness. After you totally broke my confidence, I have no interest in looking after you or your feelings. She did the best she could, Lois insisted. Brooklyn sobs. I took the lifeline you provided me, which was constructed of secrets. Please pardon me. Lois admits that she preferred to keep the kid close to her, rather than bring him into the world. Lois says, we gave Gio a good home. We granted you your liberty. And that was the proper course of action. According to Lois, Brooklyn wouldn't have had the life she does if she hadn't taken action. However, BLQ feels as though she was denied the ability to choose for Gio on her own. Because Gio doesn't trust her, she is unable to assist him, and because of Lois' deceit and manipulation, neither she nor Gio will ever be able to trust one another again. According to Brooklyn, Gio doesn't want to be around her, and she doesn't want to be with her mother either. Gloria walks in at that moment and says to BLQ, you have it out with me if you want to have it out with someone. Laura is taken aback when she discovers Rick at Elizabeth's residence. Laura tells Liz that Rick will stop by whenever he knows Lucky isn't home after he excuses himself to buy tea. Though no brand is stated, there is so much conversation of dragonberry juice that it almost seems like a paid advertisement. Liz tells Laura that although she and her ex will always be friends, she has set boundaries with him after Rick leaves. According to Laura, Lucky obviously never lost his feelings for Elizabeth, and he undoubtedly views Rick as a competitor. But Liz is skeptical about what lies ahead. When you love someone and you know they are excellent at saving you, but they struggle with the everyday tasks that keep a relationship going, what do? Luke and Laura were unable to attend, and Lucky is just like his father. Liz wonders what separates her and Lucky. Alexis meets with Christina and Lucky and puts everything on the line. Her daughter will go to jail if the police look into the cut-break line. Christina acknowledges that Dante is aware that she was present at the scene, as they talk about the number of possible witnesses. They conclude that the automobile, which Ava bought someone to hide, is the sole tangible proof. Lucky is advised by Alexis to avoid the mess as much as possible. Alexis claims that when they are by themselves with Christina, they have two choices. Either they locate the automobile or they persuade Rick and Ava, two greedy, disgusting, duplicitous people, to turn against one another. Christina offers to help right away, but Alexis tells her to control her impulses. When Christina considers handing herself in, Alexis responds that Molly would be devastated. Therefore, save your sister's life if you don't care about saving your own. To increase Michael's chances of gaining custody, Carly encourages Curtis to use Aurora Media to remind people that Drew is a terrible person. Curtis claims he doesn't want to use his platforms to further his own agenda, but she points out that he would only be exposing Drew for the awful person he is, and bringing attention to the numerous transgressions he has committed. He notes, however, that since Michael owns the bulk of Aurora, a smear campaign may make Drew appear to be the victim. Afterwards, Portia informs Curtis that she and Nina framed Drew by hiring a prostitute. When he asks Portia where Jacinda is today, she acknowledges that she doesn't know because they paid her a lot of money to leave town. The one puzzle Portia is unable to solve? How did Tracy get jailed when she and Nina drugged Drew? Curtis knows right away that Drew must have set her up. Curtis is concerned that his wife might be in trouble, but she reassures him that the substance links back to Brad. And who is going to trust a former scammer over me? She inquires. Curtis says that they must locate Jacinda in order to neutralize Drew. Nina shares her theory with Ava at the Crimson offices. Sasha's baby's father is Michael, not Jason. They speculate that Michael might lose custody simply for concealing a pregnant mistress. One significant flaw in the plan, though, is that Nina doesn't want to harm Sasha. They both agree that Drew is to blame, and that if Willow is granted custody of the children, she would never leave him. However, Ava questions why Sasha and Michael should be allowed to keep their dirty little secret, while Willow's entire life is out there on social media for everyone to comment on. Given that Drew will undoubtedly relocate Willow and the children to Washington, D.C., Nina believes it might be best if her daughter is not granted full custody. The moment he has the opportunity, there will be repercussions for whatever Nina does, according to Ava. What did she advise? Select the outcomes that you can cope with the best. Michael spends time with his family. While Michael is at the divorce hearing, he spends time with Sasha and asks her if she would want to hang out with Wiley and Amelia. They attempt to determine the cause for her summons but are unsuccessful, concluding that it is improbable that she will be summoned to testify. Perhaps, Sasha muses, Michael and his wife could have resolved their differences and remained together if she had told him about the kiss between Drew and Willow in the past. Michael disputes this, claiming he was never acquainted with the genuine Willow. He acknowledges that he and Willow were unaware of their true relationship, saying, "I thought she was so good, so honest, by far a much better person than I was." Sasha claims that Willow deserves a jerk like Drew because she ruined her marriage. Michael spends time with Carly, Sasha, and the children. Wiley asks whether his mother can accompany them when they plan to go swimming. Gio tells Emma that his phone is blowing up when he's in a dump motel. He claims that half of the communications are from strangers. "We are now family, even though I don't even have their phone number on my phone." However, he declines to form fictitious bonds with these new family members. Gio hypothesizes that Sonny's generosity may have been motivated by his knowledge of the truth. In retrospect, Gio recalls that his mother never mentioned characteristics he had in common with his father in family photos. Additionally, he recalls Camila stating that his presence saved her life. Because Joe's arrival provided his mother a purpose to continue living following the death of her cherished husband, Emma thinks that his mother was saying the truth. He concludes that Brooke Lynn was merely a lady who gave him away, and that Camila was his mother. Despite his desire to take a road trip and escape from everything, Gio chooses to return to Port Charles in order to figure out how I really feel about my family. Laura visits Alexis in the latter moments of the episode to inform her that a significant amount of money seems to have vanished from Ace's trust. Lucky confesses to Liz that he saw a lawyer about the accident, and that he knows more about it than he has previously said. And when Rick arrives at Nina's office to discuss her testimony, she is left to choose whether or not to tell him what she now knows. The electrifying chemistry between two characters who are destined to collide in a tornado of desire is one of the most captivating aspects of narrative, whether it be in literature, film, or television. Viewers and readers look forward to these unavoidable fiery encounters, the snatched glances, the tense silences, the simmering tension that finally explodes into an indelible bond. Some relationships are just meant to be. Their chemistry is so strong that their passionate meetings seem to have been predetermined by the heavens. These explosive duos guarantee to light up the screen or page with their passion, whether they are comrades, adversaries, or something else entirely. The tension that develops between them, a magnetic pull that neither can resist, is what makes these combinations so alluring. It's the tug-of-war between opposing feelings, the way they test one another, and the indisputable allure that permeates every exchange. These connections frequently go beyond the norm, developing into something more profound and primordial, something that astounds viewers. Fans are kept interested, speculating, and craving more by these unavoidable emotional meetings, which can range from slow-burning romances to explosive, illicit affairs. The inevitable merger of these hot couples is among their most alluring features. Their bond is too strong to ignore, regardless of the barriers, whether they be social norms, personal grudges, or outside dangers. The best-written pairs create a perfect storm of emotions that has been building since their first encounter, making their climactic collision feel both unexpected and completely inevitable. The final reward is all the more wonderful since the path to that moment is frequently tense, full of miscommunications and near misses. Take the well-known enemies to lovers cliché, which never fails to pique fans' interest. Unquestionably, there's something exciting about two individuals who begin at odds, sometimes even hating one another, only to be brought together by a power greater than their hostility. Sparks are produced by their friction, and eventually those sparks ignite. Their physical altercations allude to unspoken want. Their verbal sparring conceals deeper emotions, and every exchange brims with unspoken yearning. It's explosive when they finally give in to their passion. It's the result of all the scathing comments and heated looks that have preceded it. Relationships that start out as friends and are based on familiarity and trust, but eventually develop deeper feelings are equally captivating. With each lingering touch and poignant glance stoking curiosity, these slow-burning romances are a lesson in anticipation. As the characters themselves start to recognize what has always been there, the audience watches with their hearts in their mouths. It feels like a natural progression when they eventually move beyond friendship to something more, yet it's no less exciting because it was inevitable. The genuineness of these relationships, the way love blossoms from shared experiences, respect, and strong emotional ties, is what makes them so sweet. Then there are the prohibited pairings, the ones that go against society's expectations, individual allegiances, or even ethical limits. Because they know they shouldn't be together yet are unable to keep their distance. These relationships are frequently the most passionate. The emotional aftermath is more catastrophic, the passion is more desperate, and the stakes are higher. These partnerships thrive on the excitement of the forbidden, whether it's a love that defies time itself, a risky affair, or a relationship between opposing forces. Despite the odds, the audience cheers them on because they are so bold in their love. The emotional reward is what makes these unavoidably intense meetings so memorable. It's more than simply a physical bond when two people with obvious chemistry ultimately get together. It's a meeting of the souls, a turning point in their story. The most skilled authors are able to carefully construct these moments, making each gaze, close call, and nearly confessed moment matter. The spectator becomes as invested in the protagonist's happiness as they are by the time they eventually give in to their emotions. Naturally, not every intense encounter results in a happy ending. Some are short-lived, intense relationships that burn bright and quick before vanishing. Others have a tragic love tale that is doomed from the beginning. Even so, the characters and the audience's hearts are marked with the intensity of these fleeting, bittersweet unions. The beauty of what they shared is only enhanced by the anguish of their separation, making their time together even more valuable. In the end, the most captivating combinations are those that seem authentic, characters with imperfections, weaknesses, and unmistakable chemistry that pops off the paper or screen. Their bond is too strong to ignore, so their intense interactions are unavoidable, not because the story requires it. Fans may relive these moments over and over again, relishing the fire, the heartbreak, and the unquestionable passion that made them unique, regardless of whether they end up together or apart.